welcome to the first ever Working Mom Weeknight Dinner video. This week we're making dinners out of the Pioneer Woman Come and Get It cookbook. We are going to make veggie tortellini soup, Marsala mushroom flatbreads, and chili lime chicken. All three of these recipes are actually new to me and my family, but Pioneer Woman is a perennial favorite in this household, so I'm hoping that these recipes work out well. So without further ado, let's get cooking. Hey guys, tonight we are going to be making the Pioneer Woman's veggie tortellini soup. I do apologize if you can hear the sound in the background. My husband is vacuuming, but then again I don't apologize because my husband is vacuuming. Anyway, here are the ingredients that you are going to need for this one. You are going to need chicken stock, basil. This actually calls for dried basil, but I had fresh, so I'm going to use it. Half and half parsley flakes, any kind of refrigerated cheese tortellini, and then a bag of frozen mixed vegetables. It seems like this one is one of the drop in the pot and stir recipes, so can't wait to see how it turns out. Okay guys, for each of the recipes that you see today, I will either type the recipe out below in the description box or I will provide a link to you. The first thing I'm going to do is add 8 cups of vegetable or chicken broth. I had chicken broth on hand, but whatever you guys have is fine. I'm going to add that to a pot, put it on to simmer over medium heat. I'm then going to add 1 6-ounce can of tomato paste. You're going to want to stir that all together until it gets well combined, and then let it simmer on medium heat until you have a nice light tomato broth. Next, you want to add a package of 10-ounce frozen mixed vegetables to the pot and return it to a strong simmer. Soundtrack for cooking tonight was Demi Lovato's Sorry Not Starry. You're then going to add your cheese tortellini. You want 9 ounces of this. I think my bag was bigger, so I added only part of the bag. And then you're going to cook until the tortellini is just tender, about 3 to 5 minutes. After that, you're going to want to add the heavy cream and stir it all until everything is well combined. Next, you're going to want to add your parsley flakes, your salt, pepper, and then if you're using dried basil, I'd add it now as well. Since I was using fresh basil, I cut some up to add as sort of a garnish on top. But at this point, you're going to want to add all of your seasonings and then stir the whole pot to combine everything, and then after that it will be ready to serve. This recipe was definitely a winner for us. It was ready in under 15 minutes and tasted delicious. Hey guys, like I told you earlier, we're making dinners this week out of this Pioneer Woman Come and Get It cookbook. Tonight's dinner is a mango chili chicken recipe. I'm going to serve that alongside some asparagus and hopefully, fingers crossed, they actually turn out, some copycat Olive Garden breadsticks. This is the first time I've ever tried making breadsticks, so we are going to see. You guys hopefully will see a clip of that later in this video. Let's get started. Hey guys, so I'm going to tweak this recipe a little bit. I, of course, had not read it thoroughly, and this was supposed to go with a kale salad, which a lot of the ingredients were going to be used for, apparently. I bought asparagus at the store today because it looked really good instead of kale, because I can have kale all winter, and asparagus is just in season now. So I'm going to tweak this recipe a little bit just to use up some of the ingredients and get the flavors into the chicken marinade as opposed to just in the salad. So what you're going to need is the zest and juice of a lime. We're going to use a tablespoon of chili powder. I'm going to use 2 tablespoons of this juice from the diced mangoes, the no sugar added kind, so it's all natural sugars in there. I'm going to use 2 tablespoons of extra virgin olive oil, and then I'm going to add some salt and pepper. I'm going to get that all in the bowl, and then I'm going to put my chicken in and mix it all around, and then I'm going to let that sit in the fridge for anywhere from 30 minutes to 4 hours. It depends on when my husband wants to start the grill and get this going. All right, I'll show you what it looks like once it's all mixed up. All right, this recipe starts with 1 tablespoon of chili powder being added to the bowl. You're then going to add the zest and juice of 1 lime into the bowl. lime actually felt very firm to me and like it wasn't going to give off a lot of juice. So a tip that will hopefully yield more juice in your citrus is you can roll it on your cutting board with the palm of your hand and hopefully release some more juices. Alternatively, you can put the citrus in your microwave for a few seconds and also try to get some more of the juice out of the lime. This one ended up being okay after I rolled it. Next, you're going to add 2 tablespoons of olive oil to the bowl. You're then going to want to add 2 tablespoons of that mango juice. Try to avoid what I did, which was getting some chunks of mango into the bowl, but it didn't matter at the end of the day. You're then going to want to add 2 teaspoons of kosher salt and a half a teaspoon of black pepper. I don't think I quite got there, but this is all to your own taste. So add as much seasoning as you want to the marinade. I'm then going to stir that all up and get it ready for my chicken to be added to it. I then went ahead and added my pack of chicken breasts to this. I think this was about a pound or a little over a pound package of chicken breasts, and it worked out fine for the amount of marinade that this yielded. You're going to want to toss them well in the marinade. Instead of using a bowl, you could use a gallon Ziploc freezer bag and squish the chicken around and get it coated that way. Either way would be fine. I then went ahead and popped a lid on this and put it in the fridge. You're going to want to put it in the fridge anywhere from 30 minutes to 4 hours before you cook it. I then wanted to prepare the asparagus that I'd gotten at the store. An easy way to determine where you want to cut your asparagus is you can take it and bend it from either end, hold on to either end and then bend it in the middle, as I'm showing you here, and see where it breaks. Where it breaks means that you're going to get the good part of the asparagus on top, and then you're going to want to throw away kind of the woody part of the bottom. This one broke a little bit high. In my opinion, it meant that we didn't end up with a lot of actual asparagus left to eat, but from experience, if you leave the woody part on it, it's not going to be good to eat anyway, so it's better just to cut it where it breaks. I then placed the asparagus on a baking sheet that I had already sprayed with cooking spray. You're then going to want to season the asparagus with whatever seasoning you want. Tonight I used some garlic bread sprinkle because I already had some garlic breadsticks in the works. That's a recipe you guys will see soon. They're copycat Olive Garden breadsticks, which turned out fantastic if I do say so myself. So I wanted the flavor and the asparagus to sort of work with those Olive Garden breadsticks. So after you coat them, you're going to want to put them in the oven and let them roast for a while. My husband then went ahead and grilled the chicken that I had been marinating as we would any normal grilled chicken. I will say this recipe was good, the flavor was good, it wasn't great though, and I'm not sure we would end up making it again. On this night we were making Marsala mushroom flatbreads. The recipe initially called for goat cheese to be added to this, as you can see here in the recipe. I decided to go ahead and substitute feta for the goat cheese because I prefer that. I think goat cheese is a strong flavor that you either love or not. So what you're going to need for this recipe is some extra virgin olive oil, some butter, some pesto, feta, mozzarella cheese, mushrooms, parsley, basil, and some naan flatbreads. To get started, you're going to want to go ahead and prep your mushrooms. Obviously, a lot of dirt can be on mushrooms, so you're going to want to take a damp paper towel and clean off each of your mushrooms before you get started. I then go ahead and take off the stems from the mushroom. This is a personal preference. I think you can leave them on if you want, but I had plenty of mushrooms and don't love eating the stems, so I went ahead and removed those. And then I'm going to go ahead and chop up all the mushrooms. This recipe actually calls for 12 ounces of mixed mushrooms, such as white button, cremini, and portobello mushrooms. I prefer white button mushrooms, so I went ahead and used only those in the recipe. You guys can use whatever mushrooms you prefer. After prepping the mushrooms, I went ahead and chopped 2 cloves of garlic. If you guys don't know, to get garlic cloves released from their skins, the easiest thing to do is basically take your fist and pound on them with the back of a chef's knife, and then the skins should release and let you go ahead and take the skins off and then chop them up easily. You're going to want to run your knife through this garlic a bunch of different times. As you can see, I'm rocking my knife back and 4th on the chopping board so that I can get it into a fine mince. The last thing you're going to want in these flatbreads is to bite down on a giant chunk of garlic. I'm then going to go ahead and add to a pan over medium heat 1 tablespoon of olive oil and 1 tablespoon of butter. You don't want to skip either one of these because butter and olive oil have different cooking temperatures, so it's important to use both. You're then going to want to go ahead and add your mushrooms to the pan and stir and cook them for a couple of minutes. I also added the garlic at this stage. I would not do that. I would actually wait till the mushrooms cook a little bit and add the garlic at the last minute. I also went ahead and seasoned with salt and pepper. The soundtrack for tonight's dinner was the Lumineers' Hey Ho. I then went ahead and added 1/3 of a cup of Marsala wine. If you don't have that on hand, you could substitute any white or red wine, or even chicken stock would work fine if you don't want to add the alcohol. You're then going to want to cook that for a couple minutes, stirring occasionally until most of the alcohol has been cooked off and the wine has been absorbed into the mushrooms. Next, you're going to want to mince 1 tablespoon of parsley. I used fresh parsley. I'm sure you could sub dried parsley. You're then going to want to take your mushrooms off the heat and add the parsley to the mushrooms. I went ahead and prepared each of the flatbreads with 1/4 a cup of prepared pesto and spread them out over each. I then went ahead and sprinkled on between 1/4 a cup and 1/2 a cup of shredded mozzarella onto each of the prepared flatbreads. I then added the mushroom mixture onto the top of both of the flatbreads. I next topped both of the flatbreads with a healthy sprinkle of feta cheese. Now again, the recipe called for 4 ounces of goat cheese to be divided in between both, but I chose feta. I then sprinkled the flatbreads with some shredded fresh basil. I then put these in the oven to bake for about 8 minutes. You could also grill them on a grill pan. These were fantastic. I will for sure be making them again. They were just delicious. They were a little bit rich, but other than that, absolutely no complaints, and I will for sure make these again, the best of the bunch.